Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be reviewing the last of the series of the Disney Designer Midnight Masquerade collection. And we have here is Hades. And he is by far, in my opinion, one of the coolest designs in all of the series. So of course we have here in the front of the box, we have the sketch art of his head right there. And it has a slight bluish purple tint to it, which is very appropriate with Hades' color scheme overall. And on the left right here, we have his mask designs. We have two masks for him. One is Pain and the other one is Panic. And he is by far is the lowest numbered in the series, which is only 4,300 pieces of him worldwide. And on the side right here, we have a continuation of his sketch. So unfortunately, mine has a dented box. So the reason for that is that I picked this up from the store, and I might have been in a rush picking him up, and I was actually early to the store. But then, like half an hour before opening, the cast member decided to give us out these pass, like paper pass, so that we can like roam around and come back if we wanted to. And they did write our number, like the order number that we arrived in on the paper pass, but for some reason they failed to mention that if you leave, you forfeit your place in line. So me not knowing that and they not explaining it well enough, I left. And when I come back and I try to took back my place in line, like I was third, they said that I should go back all the way to the back of the line. So I ended up with this kind of like the last pick of the litter, so to speak. So yeah, I really don't like whenever Disney just kind of updated their policies, in getting these dolls, because whenever they try to interfere more, it just makes the experience a whole lot worse for us collectors. Like Merch Pass, and then the Disney Shop Disney waiting room on the website. Those kind of interferences, in my opinion, doesn't make it better for the collectors. In fact, it just makes it worse, because you're basically just limiting certain collectors from getting the item, instead of having all of us getting it on our own, fair and square, based on our own, abilities. So yeah, that's my little rant for my experience in getting this doll, unfortunately. But I think this doll is really beautiful. It just kind of makes me forget about all that. Especially you have this beautiful sketch art right here by Steve Thompson. And I think he interpreted the design of the doll pretty well. He included many of the details from the doll. And as some of you might not know, the design of the doll is actually finalized before the sketch was created. So the sketch is meant to accompany the doll. He did add these kind of like pattern designs over here, which doesn't exist in the original doll design cape. But I think it kind of adds a little touch, a nice touch to the illustration in itself. So on the bottom here, as usual, we have the description of the doll. It's the same description on all of them. And on the side, we have the huge writing of Hades in the same font. Moving on to the front, opening the flap boxes right here. We have the design of the grid pillars right there, and it has the repeating design that is also on the doll. This kind of like skull with horns combined, sort of like a sheep skeleton type of design, which is pretty cool. And the same right there. And on the bottom here, we have sort of like the extension of Hades's smoke coming from his toga. A little bit right there. It kind of looks like Ursula's tentacle, but it's meant to represent smoke right there. And on the center right here, I have this certificate of authenticity, and the number that I had, I believe, is number 1966, which a fun fact, 1966 is actually the year that Walt Disney died. So it's a bit of a grim fact, but I guess it's kind of appropriate since Hades is the god of the underworld in a way. But yeah, so moving on, I'm gonna move the box on the side, and right here we have Hades right here. So I think he's really, really cool. I mean, seeing him in person just kind of makes me even love him more. You know, I think there's so much going on with him compared to the other dolls. So let's get started on his face. So first of all, I think his face is super accurate to the film. I think they kind of added a touch of scary factor to him in this doll. You know, his eyes is a little bit more has a darker ring around it, and I think just his expression overall is a bit more menacing compared to how he is in the film. In the film, Hades is actually very, very friendly. I mean, he has a temper about him, but you know, on the borderline, he's very funny. And of course, you have this huge flame around him, which is meant to sort of like represent his color. A lot of people doesn't like the flame design, but in my opinion, it kind of adds to the design as well. What I don't like about it is how it is placed in the doll. It's kind of placed to look like on this kind of like side view type of design. I'm not sure if that's the best. I kind of like it if it's kind of like either in the back, even though you don't see it as much. It would kind of give his head it's kind of like framing around him, or maybe have one on this side as well, so it looks like a mirror image of this flame on this side as well. Of course, Hades doesn't have any hair since he has only flames for his hair in the film. And it is done with this kind of like very amazing translucent plastic, which I love. You know, if they use just kind of like this block of plastic that doesn't have any translucency of it, I think it wouldn't have achieved the illusion just as good as this kind of like translucent plastic over there. Moving on to the top of his cape right here, the design is very similar to the sort of like the top of Hades's shirt design in the film, where he has this kind of like triangular design. In here, they kind of just made it a bit more random and added some leaf designs to it, but all overall very sharp design, which fits his personality and image. It is made out of leather, and of course, the one thing that I love about it is that they actually embroider this design instead of just putting like a print on it, which I really don't like on a limited edition doll. On the side here, he has this skull design with horns wrapping around it. And as you remember, this design was used also on the box art. I'm not sure what design it is. I think they're just trying to create something new. And I think it's very effective because the horns kind of like symbolizes like a devil's horn. And of course, the skull represents death, which is what Hades does best. And Hades' overall, I would say gown, it kind of looks like a gown. It's kind of like a toga in a way, but he has this kind of like this wrap around one of his chest, this kind of like the top part of his toga, and it has some layering and some creasing on it, which I do love, kind of adds texture and dimensionality. But I love this kind of like added chain design on him. I mean, it really adds a lot to the doll. You know, if Disney wanted to cut their budget, they could have just easily take these chains out. But I think the chains really add a certain touch of like a bad biker jacket type of feel, you know, like a heavy metal type of feel to Hades, which kind of makes him really, really look cool. You know, he kind of looks like one of those like 90s biker gangster, you know, or something like that. So of course, Hades wouldn't be complete without his two masks right here. And when I was unboxing this doll, I realized why they went with two masks instead of just one combined mask. It's to represent the sort of like the happy and sad mask of the of like Greek plays or something like that. You know, sometimes when you go to the theater, a classical theater, you would see like this design of a happy and a sad mask intertwined together. And I think that's what pain and panic is supposed to represent. You know, as you can see, pain is smiling over there, and panic is sort of like on a pouting a little bit. But I really love their design. They have this sort of like metallic paint to it, even though they are made out of like some sort of rubber it's a very, very hard rubber, you know, especially Panic right here, since he has a lot of fragile parts. It's made of a very hard rubber. And what I love is that they actually added chain instead of just the regular fabric on the back of the mask right here. Which is why Hades, these chains alone just kind of puts Hades above the rest of the dolls in this line, really, for me. Now Hades has this really, really huge cape, which has the souls represented right there, and I love because, you know, the way the cape is sort of like stretched like that, it kind of gives Hades a backdrop, you know, of all the souls that's just kind of like encircling him. And of course, in the end of the film, you remember he ends up inside this well of souls, unfortunately for him. So on his waist part, he has this kind of like plastic belt right there. It's kind of like made out of a very soft rubber. And again, you have this sort of like skull design, but it's a bit different from the one in the in his cape right there. This one is actually based on his home. You know, if you remember at the beginning of the film, when he was returning back to the Underworld on his boat, you see this huge silhouette of his home, and it's the same shape of skull that is from the movie. They just kind of added more of this like horn design in there, but the center part is actually the same design. And of course, they added even more horns on the side here, and there are some of these kind of like Greek soldier, yeah, like a mask design. If you can see those two eyes, it's like a very sharp mask design right there. It's very, very cool. Looks like a Masquerade mask in its own. And underneath, they even added this kind of like leather, like what do you call it? Leather plating on top or something like that. I don't know the phrase. And they had these chains to kind of connect all of them. I mean, it's very cool. You know, the attention to detail is just stunning, and there's a lot of detail on him. But of course, all the detail has to stop somewhere, and they decided to print this part instead of embroidering it. In my opinion, if they embroidered this part as well, it would be a 9. It would be a 10 out of 10 in my opinion, you know. But unfortunately, the budget has to be cut somewhere. So moving on to the under part of his toga, it's very plain, but the satin that they use for his shirt is actually a rougher satin instead of the usual soft satin that they use for the dolls. And of course, this is my favorite part of the entire design, really. This kind of like illusion of smoke on the under part of his toga. And they use this kind of like material that you usually see on Christmas wreaths. The ribbon that they use for Christmas wreaths are usually very stiff and hard, so you can shape it. And it's the same design. It's very coarse, but you know, malleable at the same time. And I love the way they kind of bunch it up to make it look like this overall smoke around him. I think that for me just kind of makes this doll really, really, the detail of this doll really kind of shoots it up the sky, in my opinion. And of course, last but not least, we have the backdrop, which is has this sort of like bluish, you can see like a bluish purple type of tint to it, which is appropriate with Hades' overall color theme. So there you have it. That's my review for this limited edition Hades Midnight Masquerade doll, the last of the series. I really hope you enjoy my reviews for all the dolls, except the Evil Queen, of course, which I skipped. And so please like, comment, and subscribe, and leave more of your collection stories down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Bye.